Good morning, everyone. Bright and early today, 7 o'clock, I think. Yeah, I had a guy come and pick up some tile I was selling that I found in the house that is still here. And the only time he could come was 6:45 in the morning. So. What? OMG. It is my weather today. Nice and gloomy. I love it. A little bit of rain. Got some fog throughout the city, which where I live, we really don't get fog a whole lot. It's just fantastic. Reminds me of Iceland. Okay, so basically the story goes like this. Need to frame a wall up here for the bathroom. Before I do that, need to move some electrical. And before I frame the wall, I need to cut out some sheetrock for the shower area. Then I had to get a pan for the shower to make sure it fits, because that's kind of the first thing you put in, or at least you get it so you know where the drain is going to be. I knew the floor wasn't level, but I stuck a level down there, and it was pretty far off more than I thought it was. And so that prompted me to think about solutions for that. Even just to get it a little bit more level. I mean, it's an old house, over 100 years old. And I had a structural engineer come in and take a peek at it, and he wasn't too concerned because the floors have been not level for 50, 80 years. I don't know how long. So it's not like a huge issue, but the floor's not level. And so that makes tiling a shower difficult, putting a pan in difficult. Leveling counters difficult, so I wanted to see just how close I could get to fix that, because the rafters below are in the kitchen, and I'm actually going to put a beam in the kitchen just for aesthetics, because it'll look cool, because there's already a beam throughout basically the whole house, just minus the little kitchen area. So I wanted to just continue that beam, just because I know that's kind of the trend now, but I'm totally into, what do you call it, industrial architecture and metal beams showing. I mean, I love that stuff, so I'm gonna do that anyway, just because it looks cool. I mean, the beam's like 200 bucks. Take a half day to install, no big deal. But I was thinking, hey, maybe that beam could, help level out the floor up here a little bit. So that turned into this. Yeah, so I put a beam up here, just support it with some of these columns. No big deal. These little 2x6s span 20 feet probably, and that's like, you just don't do that nowadays. You can't. Legally, you can't do that. So, I mean, it's better lumber back then, but they're just gonna sag, and it's been sagging for a long time. You can actually see the sheetrock up here, which I don't know when that was done. Long time ago. I mean, it is old sheetrock. That is actually accounted for the sag. So this has been sagging. Say that sheetrock's 20 years old, maybe 30. This has been sagging the same amount for those 30 years because there's no cracking. So it's not moving, but it was out enough to make me feel like I could fix it. And so I put this beam in here, put some jacks just to see what it would do. Jacked it up and got it pretty level. I'm not guessing, I actually measured, but from right about here, which is where the stair landing is, all the way to almost the last joist. I think maybe the second to last joist before you hit what was the old exterior wall. It's level. I don't want to say good enough for me because I want it to be right, but I don't know if I can get it much more right. I mean, it was really easy to get it to this point. Jacking it up, I mean, it took some effort, but it wasn't like I was lifting the whole house, it wasn't like, oh, this is impossible. I was basically just taking up the slack in the middle two joists. So yeah, I think now that I have this jacked up and pretty much level, I can just put in a metal beam, basically just for decorative purposes, but it'll help just shim up those middle joists a little bit. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I already had a structural engineer in here, and it's been like this for so many years. And regional, they pretty much said the same thing. It is what it is. It's been here. It's fine, But if I can add a decorative beam and have it support a couple of those saggy joists a little bit, that'll just work out pretty good. And the beam will be way sturdier than this wooden beam. So yeah, the floor not being level upstairs led to this, which I wasn't really expecting, but it's gonna be cool. I can add that beam. It'll look awesome in the end. And then this original post that was right here in the kitchen supporting this beam in the living room, that was sitting on a post in the crawl space basement area, and it was more janky than I wanted it to be. So that led to this. I know there's a bunch of holes in the floor and it looks terrible. Oh yeah. So basically, I wanted to make sure this post was stable before I put a couple extra pounds on it with the beam in the kitchen. Not that it's going to be more than a couple hundred pounds. So wanted to take a peek what it looked like under the floor and with the foundation, and it was sitting on a rock that was no longer part of the foundation, shimmed up with some boards. And so yeah, it's a post, technically, load bearing, but I don't know, I wasn't too happy about it. So I'm gonna actually just make it right. So yeah, one thing led to another, and down the rabbit trail we go. So that's, I guess, what happens when you go down the rabbit trail, is you're gone for a while. So, but I hope this one is good. And so, you know, sometimes when things lead to other things, it's a rabbit trail, but it might be a good rabbit trail. I think oftentimes people have a problem and they think about how to solve it without making any other problems or uncovering any other problems. And I mean, to be frank, that's usually a band-aid solution. Because if you have a problem, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's a mechanical problem like I'm dealing with, you know, maybe on a car or whatever, if you just focus on that sole problem, usually you can fix it, but there's probably a bigger issue somewhere lurking. So it's like you kind of have to find the root of the problem. And I'm a big fan of actually digging deep into problems to find the root, because usually if you dig, say you got layers of problems, you got a surface problem, that's the one you can see, and that's what makes you aware of the problem. You dig deep, you find another problem that maybe caused that one or is related, and then you dig deep and deep and deep, and then you get to a point where if you solve the base problem, usually all the other problems solve themselves. And maybe not easily, but like within a relationship, you want to get to the base issue before you start solving superficial problems, you know. And sometimes with a car it works the same way, where some component keeps failing and you don't know what the problem is. Look a little bit deeper, what's making that fail, you know, and look a little bit deeper, and you might find an issue that's causing a bunch of problems. Speaking of rabbit trails, that was a rabbit trail, but I am just a big fan of getting to the root of the problem, and I kind of think it's not worth solving the surface problem unless you do search deeper, you know, ask why a bunch of times to get to the root issue, or else you're going to be solving the same problem over and over and over.